It says I'm live, but it also isn't counting out. Oh, there we go. Good morning. Happy Monday. Mornings with me, Margaret. I've got such a soothing voice. This is a tea that I got as a present off of this teacup. It's a cup, not a mug. There's no handle. But it doesn't look like a teacup, but it is a teacup because it came with tea and it's a cup. So, in a very real sense, it's a teacup. Anyway, good morning. So today is Magic the Gathering Monday, and last week I went over with any noobs the differences between the different kinds of cards and the different kinds of spells that you can summon. As a quick recap, got land cards. This is a forest. It's a green land. We have creature cards. This is a centaur. Centaur druid. That cost a certain amount of land in order to cast. We have various different spell cards. We have instance, which can be cast anytime, pretty much. There's like some restrictions, but you don't have to wait for your turn to cast them. There are enchantments. This enchantment enchants a land. There are also enchantments that enchant creatures and also enchant players. And then there's sorceries, which can only be cast on your turn. And they usually go away after they're cast, as opposed to enchantments, which usually stay until they're banished in some way. And then finally, the last kind of card that I introduced is, where is it? Good gracious. Don't hide from me. Planeswalkers. So this is a Planeswalker. This one is Ashiok the Dreamrender. She's blue-black, so she costs only 3 mana. You can use 1 of any color, and then 2 of either a blue or a black mana. And then she's got her 2 spells. One is just whenever she's out. Spells and abilities your opponent's control can't cause their controller to look through their library. And then she can cast a spell that puts just read it again. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard and then exile that each opponent's graveyard. So you can quickly go through your opponent's deck if you want to. This is not actually a bad card for one of the decks I'm currently working with, but whatever. We'll worry about that later. So those are the different 4 kinds of cards. And the reason I went over that with you last week is because I recently made a very foolish investment and bought an entire box of booster packs for War of the Spark. Now this is several releases ago. They release a new expansion probably 2-ish times a year, I'd say. I don't know. I've only been paying attention for the past year or so, and I've seen 2. So, but Magic the Gathering War of the Spark is from like 2018 or 17. What it says on here. Oh, it does say 2019. Okay, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe they release 3 or 4 every year, because right now there's something like death. It's got the word death in it. I think I have yet to buy a booster pack from there. Theros, something Theros. Theros, the Death of Theros, or Theros, the Death Lord, or Theros, something. I don't know. I haven't bought one of those because they're all really expensive. Well, they're more expensive than the other ones that are available right now because they are the newest one. There's Throne of Eldraine, which is one that I bought a lot of because after the new one came out, they all went on sale. And then there's Ravnica, which is the one 3 times ago. Nothing to really say about that one. I don't know if I've bought any of from there. And then there's this one, War of the Spark. And War of the Spark is the one that I went for because A, it's cheaper than if I had tried to buy an entire box of more recent ones. But B, because in War of the Spark, they advertised there would be a new well, not a new planes, there would be a planeswalker in every pack. So this box came with 36 booster packs because I'm an adult. And so I will have, by the end of this, 36 planeswalkers. Many of them, I'm assuming, will be doubles, will be duplicates. But if they are, hopefully, there are some good ones. So what my plan was for Magic Mondays was for me to open a pack. If I have time to open 2 packs, because 36 is a lot, and I don't know if I want to do this for 36 weeks. And we'll go over each card with you that has any value of going over. Like, I'm not going to go over the lands with you. That's stupid. And also, they frequently come up with these like token cards, which is just like it's not a card. It's just like you use it instead of using a token to represent a character. But anyway, let's get down to business. We're gonna get down to business. 20 honey. Get down to business. I'm already seeing a duplicate of the card that I already have. Ooh. Okay. So let's break this down. Let me find the lands and just get rid of them, and I can show you that I have them. There's always at least one land in my experience. Okay, yeah. There's a white land. And then there is a spirit token. So we probably have a card in here that calls for a spirit token, which is interesting. Do you like... Anyway, that's whatever. So creatures first. Bulwark Giant. This is an expensive card. It costs 6 mana. You can see the top there. I don't know if you can actually see because, like, from here it looks really blurry. The makeup gurus do this. So it costs, you can see 6 mana, but it is a 3/6, so that means that it has 6 hit points. It can take quite a few, or quite a bit of damage before it is destroyed. But it does 3 damage itself, so that's not bad. And when it enters the battlefield, you gain 5 life. So this would be helpful in the late game in general, because it would have to be late game because you would have to have 6 mana out. But also because you're probably losing life at that point. But altogether, paying 6 mana for something like this is not... I don't know that I'd put her in my deck. Sorry, I like burp. I don't know that I'd put her in my deck. I don't know that it's worth it. Another creature is a zombie manticore. And this one also costs 6. It has a special ability called a mass. So when invading manticore, this is what it's called, invading manticore. A mass 2. So you put 2 +1/+1 counters. So you're adding power and strength to any army you control. So there's types of cards that will be called armies. This one I showed you somewhere in here, I have like a zombie army card token. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. So it creates the army card for you first, which is nice. I have to go take care of my dog. Ooh, this is very disturbing to my stream. Oh no, you're gonna see blank space. Oh no, please forgive me. I'm very sorry, but my dog needs me. she was whining, and I thought it was because she needed to go outside, but she was evidently already outside. She was whining because she wanted to come in, and she can wait. So, what was I going over? Oh, the Invading Manticore. So it's a 4/5, costs 6. So let's compare it really quickly to this other 6 cost. I think they call them drops, 6 drops. I don't know why. Well, I maybe know one, but I'm not going to go into it. So both of these cost 6. This one is a 4/5. This one is a 3/6. So they're, sort of equal in that way. Like a 5 power is not going to die significantly more quickly than a 6 power. And 4 attack is good. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. But it also amasses, so it gives you the army if you don't have one already, which is nice. I think there's another one in here that I have that does not give you the army. So if you don't have it with a zombie army, you don't have a zombie army, you're sort of screwed. But this one will create a token one if you don't already have one, and then you put +2, +1, +1 counters on them, on an army, on one. So this would be a good card to have if you were going for an army strategy. You could have any army, because it just says on an army, it doesn't say what kind of army. But it also looks like it's made for zombie cards, just because it is itself a zombie card, and it generates a zombie army. All right, I gotta move faster through these. Maybe, I don't know. Okay, Vampire Opportunist. This is a cheaper card. This costs only 2. And it's a 2/1. So you can see how the cheaper cards have less power. It costs 2, 1 of which has to be a black mana. And 4, you can pay 7 mana. Once it's on the table, you can pay 7 mana, and each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. So 7 mana is sort of a steep cost for this, but basically, this is a good later stage card, even though it is like you can use it early as just a creature that you have out. 2/1 for the cost of 2 is fairly respectable. So even if you don't have the 7 mana, you don't get it before someone kills this. It's not a bad card to have out early game, because 2/1 is, it's about as useful as a 1/2. It's possibly more useful than a 1/2. Because it's pretty easy to kill a 1/2 as well, and they also don't do 1s. That 1 doesn't do very much damage. But a 2/1 can sort of punch up, so that's nice. And then it'll be good in the late stage for the, it can do just life damage to your opponents. Where did I put this? Oh, there it is. I'll just think. Okay. Vivian's Grizzly. Vivian, I believe, is a planeswalker, but whatever. So this costs 3, one of which has to be green, and it's a 2/3. So that's pretty standard, although I would hope for a 3/3. But let's look at this ability that it's got. So for 4 extra mana, once it's on the table, you can pay 4 mana to look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature or plane, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. If you don't put the card into your hand, put it on the bottom of your library. So it basically just allows you, for 4 extra mana, to look for the card that you want, but very slowly and inefficiently, because you can only look 1 card at a time. Also, if you look at the art, you can see it looks like it's taking place at Buckingham Palace, which is interesting. Anyway, so it's a Fair Spirit card. Costs 3, it is a 2/3. Altogether not terrible. I would, for this ability, I would want to build the deck around something that makes that ability worthwhile. Let's see. There are a lot of... Okay. So, more creatures. We've got the Eternal Taskmaster. Not Taskmaster. Costs 2 and is a 2/3. So he enters the battlefield tapped, which is interesting. It doesn't change a whole lot for playing because most creatures, I always call them characters, most creatures have what's called summoning sickness, so you can't attack with them on their first turn anyway. But this means that entering the battlefield tapped means you also can't defend with him. So if you put him out on the table and then they attack you, you can't use him to defend because he's already tapped. So this is nice because for an extra 3 mana, you can, when he attacks, you can pay 3 mana to get a creature card from your graveyard, so from your discard pile, into your hand. So, and this is pretty cheap for 2. 2 for a 2/3. That's what I'm talking about. 2. What was our last 2? We had a 2 for like a 2/1, I think. Yeah, we had 2 for a 2/1. And that had a lot, like its ability was way more expensive, and this ability is a perk, but with 3 mana, it's also achievable. So this is actually a fairly good card especially if you were doing like a zombie deck, and it had some sort of black component to it. So 2 for a 2/3. That's very good, in my personal opinion. And we've got a zombie cat. It's wearing armor. I don't know if you can tell. It doesn't look like it's dead. It looks like it's wearing armor. This cat has menace. It only costs 1. But it has menace, which means it can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, which is nice, especially because it's a 1/1. So 1/1s aren't that threatening, and they're not very good at being defensive. But with menace, basically, it increases the lifespan of the damage that it does, or of its ability to do damage, because your opponent has to have 2 blockers. So this would be a good way to get rid of a planeswalker. It would also be a good way to attack the other person, but the planeswalker generally has less health than the person you are trying to defeat. So it would be quicker to kill a planeswalker. It also has a special ability to pay 3 mana and sacrifice another creature or planeswalker and put 2 +1/+1 counters on Dreadnoughkin. This is Dreadnoughkin. So if you creature or planeswalker, I think you could probably use token creatures. So like that one that earlier creates a zombie army. Oh well, I don't know if those armies count as creatures, if they're a special kind of card. I don't know. But you can beef this little cat up so that it is more does more damage and takes more damage, in addition to only being allowed to be blocked by 2 or more creatures. So not a bad card. Also, we've got 2 good black cards right now, so it's looking like we could build a black deck out of this. Burning Prophet costs 2, is a 1/3, and is red. It's a human wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Burning Prophet gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and then scry 1. Scrying, if I recall correctly, is you get to look at the top card of your library and either put it back on top or put it on the bottom of your deck. I don't remember. But scry is another one of those abilities, like a map. So it's a 1/3. It costs 2. And it has sort of like a standing order sort of ability where it's a passive ability where something happens and then it just is triggered. A deck where you have a lot of spells to cast, or at least you're not super relying on only creatures, because this only works for non-creature spells. So it would be good if you had, for instance, equipment cards or a lot of enchantment cards, Yeah. Law Rune Enforcer costs 1 and is a 1/2. Its special ability is you pay 1 mana and tap Law Rune Enforcer. And then you can tap a target creature with converted mana cost of 2 or greater. So, converted mana cost is you convert all the mana into numbers. It's weird. So he could tap her. He could not tap Dreadnoughkin. So he could not tap Dreadnoughkin because Dreadnoughkin only costs 1. And even if Dreadnoughkin gets a lot of +1/+1 counters on him, cannot tap him because he still only ever costed 1. But generally, this is useful. He's a 1/2, so he's more of a defender than he is an attacker. And he could be protective in general. Say you had a big attacker who did not have much defense, and your opponent had a big defender that had a good amount of attack that could kill it. You can, assuming it is more than costs 2 or more mana, you can tap it so that it cannot be the one that defends against your monster, your creature, which means that your creature might survive and do damage and live another day. So it's a useful support card. And the paying 1 for a 1/2, depending on what else is the rest of what's in your deck, it could be useful. It could be, it's not a terrible cost. Next one we've got is the Leyline Prowler. It is a Nightmare Beast. And it is a 2/3, and it costs 2 or 3, sorry. You can see that it requires that you have a green and a black. There's no or there. You have to have 1 mana, and then you have to have 1 of each of a swamp and a forest. So you have to have a green-black deck or some way of getting both of those mana. What's really great about this card, though, is it is Death Touch and Lifelink. So, and it adds mana. If you tap it, you can add mana of any color. So this is a pretty good card. Death Touch means that if it does any damage to a creature, it kills the creature. And Death Touch will, no, it'll be first strike. But so Death Touch, if it does damage, if it does, so say it's attacking, it's a 2/3. Say it's attacking a 3/3 or a 3/2. No, that's not. Yeah, so say it's attacking like another 2/3. There we go. That'll work. So it's attacking another 2/3. It does 2 damage only, but because it is Death Touch, it does in fact kill the other thing. Even if it's defending, so if it is a blocking, or if it is attacking, it will kill whatever it is blocking or attacking. It has lifelink, which means that any damage that it does gets translated into health for you. So you get to increase your life by as much damage as this thing does. So if, for instance, it killed that 2/3 thing, it only did 2 damage because it only is a 2, but you would get 2 life points back for yourself. So this is a pretty good card for cheap, relatively cheap. Again, it really doesn't depend on what the rest of your deck looks like. If you've got things that make it easier to pull out or make it easier to get both of those mana, because that is a thing. If you don't have a green-black deck, it's going to be pretty hard to get this thing out unless you have a lot of cards that give you like random mana of any kind that you were looking for, which are not unheard of, but they're sort of not super useful. But anyway. Last creature here is an artifact creature, and it's flying. So this is a drake, artifact creature drake. Artifact creatures are usually colorless, which is why they're called artifact creatures. Also, artifact is a whole subset of a kind of card that can be called out by various cards. So it'll say like target artifact or something on the ability, and that'll affect this card because it's an artifact. It costs 4 and it has flying. So flying, I don't know if we discussed this, but flying means that it cannot be touched by anything that doesn't have flying or reach. Reach is just a ability that allows you to reach flying cards. It's why it's called reach. When Saheeli Silverwing, that's the name of the thing, Saheeli Silverwing enters the battlefield, look at the top card of the target opponent's library. So it's a 4, it costs 4, it's a 2/3, and it has flying. Those 3 things together, they make a good amount of sense. Flying is very useful, especially if your opponent does not have any flying or any way of attacking a flying. They probably have some way of destroying this card, because that's usually how you have to have something that will get rid of a flying card. Otherwise, your opponent had 1 flying card and you're screwed. But it might take them a while to get it out if they don't have a lot of creatures that are flying. Also, it's helpful if they have flying and you are trying to get a flying card out. It's not great for that reason because it doesn't have a whole lot of other reasons to be in your deck. But for the cost of 4, any mana, which is nice, so you can put it in any color deck. The cost of 4 for a 2/3 is not terrible. 2/3 flying is not terrible. So it's a moderately useful card, I'd say. We're going to go on to the spells. There are only 3 spells in here. So the first is an instant. It's a blue. It costs 5. Put target non-land permanent on top of its owner's library. So this could be useful. You could put a planeswalker. I think they are permanents. Also enchantments, creatures, pretty much everything but a land. Well, anything. Some things are not permanent, but most things are. So yeah, this is not terrible, but it does cost 5. I don't know if that's worth it. It only puts it on top of the owner's library. It doesn't discard it. It doesn't exile it. Doesn't really get it outside of your danger zone. So again, it really depends on what's in your deck. But I wouldn't put this in my deck just by looking at it, unless I had some very specific reason. Ob Nixilis instant. Costs 3. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So this is not terrible. Costing 3. It would be very useful. Most of the time it's going to kill a creature, right? Because if its toughness drops below... I'm about to drop this card. If its toughness drops below 0, or drops to 0, it dies. So most creatures you're going to put this on are going to have less than 5 toughness, and so are going to die. 5 or less toughness, which is not bad. Instant death, but it's not just an instant death. You exile it instead, so that if your opponent has abilities to bring things back from the graveyard, then they can't do that with this one. So that's nice. And it's nice also if you've got very big. If they've got very big cards, very big attackers or defenders, and it's an instant, so you can play it on their turn. You can keep them from killing you, or you can make it easier to kill them. So, not terrible. It does cost 3. I'm on the fence about whether I would include this in a deck, because again, it mostly depends on what else is in your deck and what your what your plan is for your deck. The last spell card is an instant. It's called Crush Descent. It's 4, costs 4, and it's basically just a counter. So blue. This is a blue card. Blue cards are famous for this. It's a counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. So basically, someone plays a spell. Say they play Ob's Cruelty or whatever. You could play this. They'll say you can't play this card, or like it's done. Its effect is nullified unless you pay 2 mana. So it's sort of a low price. But if this card costs a lot, they might not have the mana to to counter your counter, for instance. Now, this also has a mass 2, so put 2 +1/+1 counters on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. So this is very, it synergizes well with Invading Manticore. They also, Invading Manticore does the amass thing as well. So these wouldn't be bad to have together, except this one's cost 4. A cost 4 to counter a spell, and it only does 2. It's a pretty good card though still, with the amass and the counter. So your counter is not guaranteed to work necessarily, but then you're, even if it doesn't, you're getting the amass. So if you're countering a spell like Cruelty, like this Cruelty card, you are placing whatever card this is destroying with the zombie army card that this creates. So I could see it being a good card. Now, our Planeswalker for this pack is Domri, Anarch of Bolas. He's a red-green. He costs 3. So he has a static spell, which is just whenever he's on the field, creatures you control get a +1/+0. So they're more, they're better at attacking. You can add loyalty to him and get a red or a green mana, and creature spells you cast this turn can't be countered. This is a good kind of spell, because it's like you would cast this, you would just, as soon as you put this out on the field, as soon as you're able to cast a spell from him, you would start casting it, because it increases his loyalty. There's no reason not to cast it, and it does very useful things. So even if you don't have a reason to have that mana, or don't have a reason, or aren't going to cast any creature spells, so they're not going to be countered anyway, you're still increasing his loyalty. So it's very effective. And then his -2 loyalty, the one that costs loyalty to do, target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. Oh, fight. That's like a special thing. I don't really know what it means. But I think it's basically just like you compare something. You compare their toughness or their attack or something. And whichever one is on top wins. I don't know. I haven't done it, so I don't know. But overall, the cost of this guy is 3. His loyalty is 3, and it's very easy to amass more loyalty. And even if you're only using these first 2 spells, even if you don't use the fighting thing, I think he's pretty good. He's going to be even better if you have a reason to instigate that fight thing. And he's going to be even better if you're really relying on creatures, because creatures you control and creature spells you cast are going to benefit from having him out on the field. So that is booster pack number 1. Booster pack number 1. Wow. 1 of 34. It's 34 because Ben and I already opened 2 of them. There's 36 of them. That's what we're gonna do. So it looks like I can only get through 1 in a half-hour period, which surprises me not at all. But if you want to play Magic with me, check out. Oh, I have it. There's a website. No, that's not it. Magic the Gathering Arena. So just Google that, Magic the Gathering Arena, make an account, and then tell me what it is, because I also have an account on there, and I am trying to play people. It doesn't cost money. There is in-game purchases, but I have not made any, and I do not plan to make any. So if that limits our ability to play, we'll get through it together. All right. This has been Magic Monday. I have enjoyed my time with you, and my tea is now cool enough to drink. Ooh, that's really good tea. I think it's ginger. It's white tea with ginger peach, something like that. It's very good. Anyway, have a good Monday. I'm not going into work today. I'm going in on Wednesday. For a Wondering Wednesday, I guess. So we'll keep my wondering a little bit more wonder. But have a good day and have a good rest of your week if I don't see you. Happy choices.